embrace the magical side of life, where anything is possible and the infinite is accessible to all, let's have a conscious conversation about what's going on in the world, in your life, and your relationship from the expanded perspective of your soul. The path to awareness begins and ends in the heart. So let's take it there, one step at a time, and learn to cultivate magic in your life every single day. In each episode, we share a collective space in which we discover the unique facets of our own magic and embody our superhuman qualities by humbly exploring how it's super simply to be human. Hosts Kaí and Dell co-create a magical experience to remind you that you are magical as fuck. Now, be unleashed. This is our daily magic.
And we're live. Hey, everyone. And I know during this conversation, people are going to trickle in as well. But welcome to another exciting episode of our Daily Magic podcast. And for those of you who are going to come here for the first time, what this is we're just going to have a casual, magical conversation with a magical being who's going to share their unique magic. And our intent with every conversation is whoever listens or even watches this episode is able to find something that they can be able to use to cultivate their own magic in their life. Like our intro says, you are magical AF. And that's what we believe. And thank you for whoever's watching it right now. And in this interactive conversation, feel free to ask questions or even offer your insight as well. We love engaging conversations and co-creations. And of course, I am one half of the co-hosts. My name is Dell. And
I'm Kaí. And I have the honor and the pleasure to introduce Diane Wing, MA, by the
way. Hello, darling.
Hello. And for the formal introduction, Diane wants to live in a world where people feel inspired, they create their ideal future, and they experience a sense of wonder at everyday magic. Sounds like you're in the right place, Diane. She's a multi-published author of dark fantasy fiction, cozy mysteries, and enlightening nonfiction, which we're going to get into today. Her work helps people see the magical, spiritual, loving side of life with a practical edge. Diane views the world as beautiful and mysterious and filled with things to learn and experience. Let's talk about the path that led you here. Welcome, Diane.
Welcome to me, yes. And thank you so much for having me on, because your intro segment was so aligned with the work that I find most valuable for people. I mean, I try to help my clients, my students, my readers find their own inner magic.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's really the hardest part, I think. Think back to when we were teenagers and you asked about, my journey and whatever. As a teenager, you're searching. Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? How did I get here? Why am I here? And I think that that's a really hard question to answer as a young person. And as we get older, I don't think the question gets any easier unless you really strive toward discovering what is it that I'm here to do. And people struggle with this question into, their 60s a lot of times. And so I personally also, of course, struggled with this question. And so I went on this journey of studying Eastern philosophy, studying magical systems, traditions, different world religions, talking to different people about their journey, and then really sitting back and going, okay, what is it that feels right to me? Always the magical side of life, tarot, that those kinds of things fascinated me. I watched all kinds of, Dark Shadows was my go-to program when I was a kid. And all those things, all those mysterious things, and making me wonder, okay, well, if I was in that situation, what would I do? Tarot, getting my first deck at 9 years old. Okay, what is this? And why am I having trouble getting any information from this deck that I don't really like that much? um, so it's a constant self-questioning and self-observation that's important, but also to get the objective observations of others as to who you are and to how they're experiencing you. And all of that culminated into my journey. And then I read widely in all kinds of subjects. And then I had to decide for myself, okay, what is it that I believe? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about the world? Did we come in as innocent beings? Did we come in with a purpose that we're just trying to reveal? And all of those things helped me get to where I am today.
Wow.
Love it. I already got a question. Because it's something, because you mentioned before of the struggling to actually find out who you are, like something you struggled with. And I know there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this who are currently in those struggles right now of discovering themselves or trying to discover themselves.
Yeah.
So my curious question to you is, what was the reason that you discovered for yourself that was the struggles of actually discovering who you are?
So I just want to clarify what you're asking me. So
Yeah.
what put me on the path of trying to discover who I was?
Like some of the struggles, like some of the reasonings behind the struggle, because and the reason I was asking that is we all have those type of struggles in our lives.
Yeah.
And we all have our own potential unique reasoning behind our own struggles with those things. I was trying to find, especially a person who went through it and got out of it.
Yeah.
So there's awareness to it. Like, what do you feel were like some of the reasonings behind the struggles you went to or you went through? Yeah.
Okay. So there was the idea that my parents had of what I should be and do and have versus what I felt I was, right? Plus watching friends struggle with their own stuff with their parents and within themselves. And I was like, something doesn't align here. And I don't know what it is, but this doesn't feel right. And so, okay, well, let me try what they're telling me to do. Let me throw myself into academics. Let me try on their life and their perspective and their philosophies. And let me see if that works. And some of it really didn't. I had this really strong sense of being close to nature as being like my number one thing, as opposed to material gain. And I'm not saying material gain is wrong or bad or anything like that, but to emphasize it didn't feel right to me. And so it really had to be about who am I at the core, which to me always felt like a writer. But as we know, you don't always make a ton of money as a writer, right? And so I looked at their philosophy and I thought, okay, how can I balance this with who I think I am? And I didn't really feel like who they were telling me to be was really who I was. Is this resonating with anybody out there? Because I think when we're told by others what we should do or be, we have to take it with a grain of salt. Don't just accept that as you're wrong in what you're feeling for yourself and what you're supposed to be in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And so many people do that. I have a friend who went all through law school and was told that this is what she should be. She graduated and hated it and is doing nothing with law now. That's an expensive path, isn't it? To find out, oh my God, this doesn't feel right. I know so many people who've gone through this and they just get to the end and they're like, ugh, this is not who I am or who I'm meant to be. And it's painful. It's really painful for people to try on somebody else's thoughts and opinions of themselves and then get to the end of that and go, oh my God, how much time did I just waste? But here's the good news. It's not wasted time, because you discovered something about yourself that I don't want to be that, or you take the nuggets of the wisdom that you learned on that path and you apply it going forward. And you're like, oh, if I hadn't done all this other stuff that I thought was useless, I never would have learned XYZ. Right? So it's all about the lessons. It's all about the learning. So it's like I took piano lessons, right? I was never going to be for my career playing piano. I wasn't that good at it. I learned to read music. That was cool. I love music. But the main thing that did was it helped me type faster. So as an author, that's really useful.
Translatable skills. I love it.
Exactly. So don't feel like you wasted time with your path and what you've done and what other people may have tried to push you toward, because in every step you've learned something valuable that can get you to the next level, that can get you to understand, is this really me, or do I need to do something else?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to let that marinate for people as well, because do you hear that? And this is what I got from it, but definitely just want to reiterate that it can only be considered wasted time, quote unquote, if you don't get the lesson from it.
That's it.
So just think about that. Think about that, because I hear it all the time as well online. And this would hinders people for doing something again, because they're afraid of wasting their time. So stepping into another job, or stepping into another relationship, stepping into another business venture, or whatever it may be, is I'm afraid of wasting my time again. And when I hear that, and that's exactly where I go to, I'm like, seems like there might be a lesson to learn right there that you're not really grasping, because, and this is from my own experience, when I learn a lesson from something, it's not wasted time. It turns into gratitude and appreciation, because I'm thankful that this next little tool that I learned, I can apply it in the next thing that I do with whatever it may be.
Yes. And if you didn't learn the lesson in the last round of relationship or whatever, guess what? It's going to repeat until you get it. And so, that's the part that's a waste of time. Cut your losses by getting the lesson. Ask yourself, don't complain about the situation. Complaining has such heavy energy to it, and that's a waste of time. But if you sit there and go, you know what? Okay, this just happened. What is it that I'm supposed to learn from it? And then sit with it, because the universe is going to give you the download. You don't have to figure it out on your own. Let the universe give you the information, but you have to be open to it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not open, you can't hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's why, oh, God doesn't talk to me. Oh, I beg to differ.
Yeah. The curious question I have for that is, how can something that's infinite never talk to you?
Right. It's like that John Denver song, Rocky Mountain High, and there's a line in there and it says, talk to God and listen to the casual reply.
Yeah.
And that's what it just kind of floats in. If you're waiting for a brick to fall on your head, what that looks like is the Tower card in tarot, where everything just blows up in your life. That's the brick. It says you are not moving in the right direction here. But what the heck? Like, you can make it, you can keep ignoring the message until the brick falls on your head if you choose.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary.
It makes me wonder now, like, curious, and you said it to me before, Kaí, about when you ask the universe a question, the universe always answers. So, like, the people who keep having the lesson shown to them again, why do I keep having this same experience over and over again? Oh, universe, okay, I'm going to show you why you keep having it over and over again. Oh, the person wants more experiences to happen over and over again.
Exactly. Okay, here you go with a shovel. Just watch the movie Groundhog Day. Until Bill Murray gets the message, he's doomed to repeat the same day over and over. And he's like, oh no.
I love that groundhog. It's like,
he is so cute. I know.
Who do you think is cuter, the groundhog or Gizmo?
I love Gizmo too. Mogwai. Bright light. Now, there's a great example. Here are the instructions. Don't get them wet, right? No bright light. What do? Wet, bright light.
Food.
You have the information you need to navigate life. But so many times people choose to ignore it. If you want to ignore it, free will prevails. You can do whatever you want. But then just know that there are consequences.
I know some people out there, when you say, do not touch this red button. And they're like, I wonder what happens if I touch this red button.
Curious cat, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we really make our choices got us to wherever we are in this moment right now.
Right.
Ooh.
And so if you think that it's other people's fault, that's just not true.
Yeah.
And you can make choices to get yourself out of where you are right now if you don't like it. Or you can make choices that maintain this discomfort that you're experiencing.
Yeah.
This lack of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the key to everything. Know thyself, right? Over the gates at Delphi. The 3 important concepts of occult philosophy: know thyself, develop a will, connect to divine will. But always, first and foremost, self-awareness. In astrology, the first house is the house of the self. Hello. It's, what is it about you? Why are you here? Are you going to make it harder on yourself than it has to be? That's fine. That's completely up to you. But just know it's your decisions and your awareness or not of who you are that's creating what's in your life. And you can start today and make complete changes. Your choices got you here. Your choices can get you out.
I feel like that's like the it's like that first step, but it's a step that a lot of people are afraid to take that first step. That step of ownership of like my choices got me to where I'm at right now. It's so much easier, and there's abundance of reasons to blame something outside of you
Oh yeah.
for why you're feeling this way. And especially during these times, we have plenty of things we can put the blame on outside for why we're feeling the way that we're feeling internally. But it's like common sense is like, if that is making you feel the way inside, or that's what you believe, but it's happening inside. If that was the case, then wouldn't everything be happening outside? If it's bringing something inside, maybe I should take a look inside of me and see what's going on. Like, really take a look.
Absolutely. Whatever's within manifests without. End of story. If you don't like your job, you don't like your relationship, I mean, you could always just get rid of it. That would be one choice. But another choice would be to look at them differently. So if you don't like your job, let's just use that, with the quit culture that's going on right now, then, okay, there's no meaning in my job. Well, there could be, you might be there to learn something, back to that you can't learn in any other circumstance. So sit back and go, okay, let me be open to whatever's going to happen today. Let me be open to what my coworkers say to me, what my boss says to me, what assignments I get. And with this assignment, how can I put my own take on it? How can I make it my signature project and move the company forward, given my unique perspective on the work? That gives you purpose, doesn't it? That gives you meaning in the work, but you're creating that. We create our life. We create our future. We create the circumstance in this moment and how we're responding to it. And so we have a choice. I mean, we've all had jobs. I had a 25-year corporate career, and I had other jobs like camp counselor and other things like that prior to that, before school was over and whatever. But they weren't always exciting. But what did I learn? I learned in the corporate roles how to organize my time and how to prioritize so that when I went out on my own, I could succeed at a higher level than I might have done without understanding priorities and how to influence other people and how to listen to the needs of other people and to what the company needs and how the company was setting priorities. Right? There's so much to learn in every moment. And if you commit to being a lifelong learner, it's boundless and it's amazing. And then you won't be bored. Like, boredom is my enemy. You see all these books behind me. They're all around my office here. And they're all different topics because you can't be bored. There's too much to learn in this life. Too much to learn. You can't possibly learn it all. That's why we get to come back multiple times.
Good point.
Yeah. I feel like boredom's a choice as well. And that's the perspective of how we see our life and putting a label on it. So, like, for example, like, I'm bored because I can't do what I really want to do or what I feel like I want to do in the moment. It reminds me of my son, because my son would say that to me, like, I'm bored. And I'm like, how are you bored? And he's bored because what he wants to do, he can't do. But there's abundance of other things for him to do as well. But he's so fixated on something happening a certain way and it doesn't happen that way that now he wants to label it, I'm bored.
Right. So it's like in Mary Poppins, right? They don't want to clean up the nursery. And then she makes it fun. And it's not boring anymore. You can apply your imagination to practically anything. You could even apply it to yourself, and like you might be like the anti-boredom hero with a cape. Like picture yourself with a cape on and creating whatever circumstance in your mind that helps you get through the day, that
Right.
helps you make it more fun. That's what our imagination is for. That's part of our inner magic. Everybody has their own inner magic. Some people aren't visual, so that might not work. But maybe you play a theme song for yourself in your head and just get through,
It's true.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah, there are countless ways to counter the boredom.
True. And like you said, we are beings that are creating this experience. So consider that boredom is something that you bring to the table. You know, if boredom is there, I usually say, especially when when Jaden says that he's bored, I'm like, only boring people are bored.
Mm, right. And you know, if you're bored with your current skill set, learn something new.
Mm.
That and it's so easy to
Oh, yeah.
find something new. Go to the bookstore and just browse, right? Browse online. Type in just any word in Google that might interest you and see what pops up. I mean, we've got more ability to discover previously undiscovered things in our own life with the internet. It's amazing. I can't imagine how it would have been when I was younger to have this resource.
Right? How can anyone be bored with Pinterest, like in existence? I don't get that.
Abundance. Abundance of things to do, but also like this is times now of how things are just like so much more effortless for us to like experience the effortless experiences for all the different aspects, even like online dating compared to before. Like you only had your local people, or if you go travel somewhere, now you can actually have like a virtual date with somebody across seas and have conversation and connect. And even like doing this conversation, this podcast, it's going to be able to get out to the world for so many people out there. There's just so much tools out there, one to help us expand, but also for us to be able to really experience what we're looking to experience. But it's our choice.
That's right. And to meet unbelievably interesting people, like with my radio show too, I meet such cool people and get to talk to them like we are now. I wouldn't have been able to do that, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's amazing. If you look around, there's magic everywhere. Just go in your garden and check out what the creatures out there are doing. It's magical. What's that vine doing, growing over here and creating these berries? It's then creating something else. And which tree just had a baby? Like I had a maple tree that had a baby recently. And it's amazing, but you have to look at it like that. If you're going, it's just a bunch of trees. Well, that's bland. So life doesn't have to be bland. You're looking at it through a lens of blah. Put a filter on it. We all have our own filters.
Or just remove the blah lens.
Remove the blah lens. Totally. I mean, when I do clearings for people, and we're doing, like, I have a whole thing about dumping and, grounding and then protecting. But after people dump the negativity and the stuff that's been bothering them, they look around and they tell me, everything's brighter, crisper, more detailed. The colors are more intense. Yeah, because you just dumped everything that was blocking you from seeing it. It's not that it wasn't there before.
Right. Yeah.
And it's really, the other thing is, Are you looking at it with your brain or your heart, like your intro was talking about, that heart centered? And that's a really hard transition for a lot of people. I know I struggle with it because I was in corporate/academia for such a long time, and that's all very cerebral, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? My heart, how am I supposed to think about it with my heart and feel it? And it took concerted effort to get to the point where I could feel and sense, not only intuitively, like when you think intuitively, you think third eye, you think, okay, download, and that's still up in your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you start to manifest things through the heart center, it's very different. And you'll find that you actually manifest faster if you do it through the heart than if you do it through the third eye. You're just getting information here, right? However it's coming, intuitively or whatever. But when you feel it and you're pulling it in and you're understanding with your heart through the lens of compassion and love, right? And the divine. Oh my God, everything lifts. Everything starts to expand. It's amazing. And you can have an amazing life every single day. And it improves your relationships. It improves your work life. It helps you to understand what you want to be doing, because then you feel it when you're in the zone, right? When I'm writing something and I'm really like, I'm in that zone and I'm feeling it in my heart and the characters are doing things that I think are worthwhile, my heart is lifting and it's coming out onto the page. It affects everything that you're doing. Every project you can imprint with your loving, compassionate, divinely guided energy, but you have to open to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. All right. So, what are some of the practices that you have on a daily basis? Because that's the name of the show. That you do to open your heart and to really be in that resonance and to.
It starts in bed.
Mhm.
When I open my eyes, the day, and I talk to God. Okay, what do you want me to do today? And then I get these, like, I run reels, is what I call it. And I see the way that the day it would be optimum to go. Now, anything can happen during the day. Let's face it. You can't like plan every minute. But if you ask, okay, what am I supposed to be doing today? And like, for example, I say, okay, today I have an interview on Our Daily Magic. I ask for support. I ask for the universe to speak through me, in particular, Archangel Gabriel, who's about communication. And okay, what am I going to be saying? What do you want me to say? Speak through me today. So I ask for support. I ask for guidance. And then I get this flood of information about, oh, I was stuck on that story plot. And I get the solution. Right? And that's magic. I mean, you can make magic in every single moment. Every single moment. But to start the day, you need to feel inspired and get things going and give permission to the universe and whatever beings you interact with to help you. We're not doing this by ourselves. Just like we can't have this conversation. I could sit here and talk, but how boring would that be? Back to boring. The energy is so much different when there's a flow between two people, between you and the universe. And so I try to maintain that flow. And if I feel like there's a clog in the day, I take a walk. I walk around, I pet dogs. I love dogs. and they have such happy energy, you know, they're always like in the moment. So I get reminded to be in the moment. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. Right? And if something happens, if there's a change in my schedule and something has to be rescheduled, something has to shift, that's okay. Because why? Because everything happens when it's supposed to. So make sure you don't go like, why did this happen? That shouldn't happen. And you get all upset about it. And now you're really clogged because you're mad, right? Anger, unless it's used as a catalyst for change, is anti-productive. And so just know and trust the universe. Okay, this must have happened for a reason, right? Why is my project now stalling? Well, maybe it'll be even better when it gets going again because the universe had to tweak some things and get things going in another direction. And then, darn if it doesn't turn out better than you thought it was going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speaking of projects, also curious how you got into writing and love to hear about your latest and greatest behind you.
I've been writing since I was a little kid. I always loved it, whether it was journaling or whether it was writing short stories or poetry. When we had assignments for haiku poetry, very challenging, you know, like in elementary school. And I loved it. I would just love the challenge and finding the right word and going through the thesaurus. And I always loved to create, but I also love to read, obviously, right? And if you know, reading is an essential part of being a good writer, and reading fiction and nonfiction and experiencing different kinds of authors in the process and their writing voice and helping you to cultivate your own writing voice. And so I used to write scary short stories, and sometimes they were silly short stories. And then as I got older, I took every writing class I could in undergrad. And I actually had one of my writing teachers tell me I was too young, that I didn't really know anything. And, you know, he was mostly right. I was a teenager. What the heck did I know of the world and philosophy? But I was experimenting, but he didn't promote that really. I mean, a teenager wrote Aragon, I believe, and that was turned into a movie. And, you know, because you're hyper imaginative, I think, at a younger age. So I was experimenting, but he was like, well, this isn't right. Okay, well, I looked him up. He only wrote one book ever, and it wasn't that good. So, you know, take criticism with a grain of salt, people. Don't let people dissuade you or criticize you out of doing something that you love, right? I just needed to be developed. And know that not everybody is into developing other people, because if they're trying to do what you're doing, it may be a threat, or it may not be. They may not understand themselves enough to help coach you, right? So I kept writing anyway, and I wrote letters, because back then, that's how old I am. Back then, there's no email, and you have to write letters. And I would write to friends that were far away, and I would tell them stories about what was going on with me. And then I would continue to write just other things for school. And I never tired of doing that. I never tired of writing papers. I loved doing it. And so as I got older and I started understanding who I was, and I studied more and more things, that would start to show up in my writing. And so back to all experiences are useful. It all shows up there, and it all inspires me on some level. So I tend to write multiple projects simultaneously, because if I'm stuck on one, I can go to the other one and I don't lose momentum. So right now I'm writing the 4th book in the Chrissy the Shih Tzu Cozy Mystery series. And it's the winter story. We've already done the other season. So now it's a winter story. There's a wedding going on. There's the threat of possible somebody trying to curse the wedding. There's a murder, of course, because it's a murder mystery. And so working on that to be released this winter, because it is a winter story. It's not necessarily Christmas. It's more winter, because that's, my tradition. I focus generally on, the winter solstice. We just had the autumnal equinox. Those are the energies of nature that I resonate with, as opposed to set holidays. That doesn't resonate with me as much. So the winter story, it's going to be called A Winter's Tale, Tail, because of course Chrissy is in there and she's doing her magic thing. And I'm also working on the 7 love patterns that rule our relationships. It's the culmination of several years of research, qualitative research, to understand how people look at their relationships and what they're trying to bring about. And most of the time, we keep picking the same people, don't we? And wondering why it doesn't work. And why? What? Well, it's the same person. His name is just different. That's why. And so I came up with 7 continuums. For example, control versus freedom. So in the past, I tended to choose people who were controlling, who wanted to, okay, we have to do this, but I want to do that. No, we're doing this. And I'm like, well, why am I unhappy? Duh, because I wanted freedom. And I kept choosing the other end of the continuum. Once I got freedom, which is what I have now, 23 years of marriage later to this person, who's like the perfect person in my eyes, it's because I chose the right end of the spectrum for me. So there are 7 that are hopefully going to help people choose their right relationship. And everybody's different. What you tend to choose is based in how you were raised, really, and what you noticed growing up, and the relationships of the caregivers that you had toward each other and toward you. And so in the book, there's going to be a questionnaire to help you understand yourself better, and to really consider a different way of looking at your relationships and yourself and your role in your relationships. And then, of course, I have my next fiction book that's going to be more paranormal. Because I keep lists and notes, and I work on stuff. Oh, wait, I'm working on this other thing. Oh, wait, here's an idea. And I have to open the notes for that other project so that I don't forget. Right? Write stuff down, people. Don't think you're going to remember, because you won't. It's in that moment. It was a divine download. Write it down. And it's a new magical character that I created, and I've done the whole profile of her, and I'm working on the plot. So that's going to be a very magical story. I don't want to say too much about that right now. And then I have a whole collection of magical short stories that I want to write about, based in trees and their stories, and it'll be fiction. But yeah, I have all these other things going on in my head, and when I'm lucky, I get to dream about them, and I wake up and I write stuff down. But that's part of the magic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Productive sleep.
It's what?
productive sleep.
Yes. Why waste time, really? You can actually ask to solve a problem or get a plot line before you go to sleep. Ask the universe, okay, please, like, send me the information, and you'll get it.
Yeah.
Intention directs energy.
Mm.
If your intention is to get the information, you will have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, speaking of intentions, this puppy. What was your intention with this book?
My intention was to not make tarot scary and to make it accessible to people.
Mm.
I was so tired of hearing people say, well, there are these rules and you have to do it this way or that way, or I have to get my deck from somebody else giving it to me, or all these like man-made rules that
Yeah.
have nothing to do with reading cards, right? So my
Sounds good,
intention
Valerie.
was to help people do it their way. That's your magic. That's your inner magic. Find your way. So I help guide people to help them do it their way and not just listen to what I say. Yeah, I include interpretations, but those are my downloads. If you want to use them, great. If you get a different download, great. Like use that. Because unless you do it your way, it's never going to feel authentic and it's never going to be as accurate
Mm.
as it could be. Just finding the deck that works for you is key. And everybody resonates with a different kind of deck. Find yours. If that one doesn't work, find another one. But really, some people are afraid of tarot because, it's evil. And some people use it in a way that I think borders on unethical
Mm.
because it's trying to take away a person's power. Know that anytime you're getting a reading or giving a reading, you must empower the seeker to understand their life. It's not about scaring them. It's not about saying, well, I'm going to predict your future and this is what it is. It's not. It's not written in stone, and you can make a choice that changes everything. Don't be afraid. The devil card isn't scary. It's a card of limitation and restriction, among other things. The hanged man is not scary. He's hanging from his foot. He can get down if he wants. He's choosing not to. Back to choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tower card, ba-boom, lightning hitting the tower and people flying out the window. That's not scary. It's time to get rid of the old paradigms. And there are lessons in that. And you can rebuild fresh and new. Same with the death card. Not scary. The ending of an old cycle, the beginning of a new one. And so if you resist all these change factors, right? That's what these cards are. It can't be, a deck of daisies. Like nobody would learn anything. You have to be challenged. Things have to change. Change isn't scary unless you make it scary.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And change is already happening, so might as well get on board. Or keep fighting it.
Right. You keep fighting it, that's scary. That's when everything's going to go really bad.
Yeah.
The universe is saying, go this way. You're like, nope. I'm going to stay right here.
But I don't like where I am. But I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
It's funny. The contradiction. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like where I'm at, but I'm going to stay here.
That's right.
I want something new, but I don't want to do anything new.
And I mean, I acknowledge that change is scary. It
Oh,
can
yeah.
be scary because you don't know what's going to happen next. You make a change, you could lose a friend. And that can happen, but maybe that friend could be part of the problem
Mm.
that needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't judge it. Judging and labeling can really hold you back, right? Somebody's driving crazy on the highway. Oh, this person's a jerk, and they're this and that and this and that, and I want them to get away from me. And maybe they just got really horrible news, and they're trying to get to someplace in a hurry because it's an emergency. Now, if you look at it like that, are you still mad? Are they
No.
still a jerk? Probably not.
Yeah.
If you judge yourself or you judge somebody else, whether or not you're labeling them, you're still, judging them and their life and everything else. That's going to block you from being open to change. Judging yourself is not a good idea either. And it's so easy to do it. Oh my God. Isn't it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Show of hands. How many have not judged themselves? I don't know one person that hasn't.
No. That's the awareness too of like finding out the biggest persecutor that we do have in our life, which is ourselves, and healing that.
Right. Oh Lord, we are our own worst critic.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be debilitating. So if you start going, oh, I'm writing this. Oh, this chapter's horrible. What am I going to do? I hate this chapter. Instead of doing that, go back in the plot and say, you know what? I could tweak this over here, and then everything flows again. Instead of judging that moment where you're stuck, it's counterproductive. And it doesn't have to be that way. You're choosing to make it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You're choosing to make it that way. And remember, if you can remember that it's a choice and that you can bring magic in any moment of any day, that's where the world lights up and you smile more often, right? If you're down in the dumps and you're depressed, your immune system suffers. And that is critical. So if you're down in the dumps, watch your favorite comedian and laugh, or find something to laugh at about yourself.
Yeah.
Those moments where we go, why did I come in this room? Oh my God, my memory is horrible. And why am I, not remembering? And instead go, oh my God, I did it again. Where are my glasses? Oh my God, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? I start here. Oh. That's where they are.
Yeah.
And there's a large portion of the day that you can laugh at yourself. If you can have enough confidence to do that. Yeah, right? It's a matter of being confident enough to laugh at yourself. And then when other people criticize you, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to laugh at yourself and also just admit like, because we all have our own unique flaws and stuff like that, and they can be perceived as flaws, but once we embrace them, they're our uniqueness.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And then you get to smile more often. Because you have your moments of silliness or those duh moments,
Moments. I have a highlight reel every day. I just laugh at it.
Right. Right. And it's gonna happen, folks. It's gonna happen. So you might as well just accept it. Like, acceptance is the other key here to living a magical life.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, criticizing or resisting, just accept it and move on. And once you accept stuff, the flow happens again. It's about getting into that flow, not that stuckness. When you feel your body tense up, expect to be stuck, right? So if you have certain bodily reactions and you tell yourself, okay, let me be aware of that. If I ball my fist, ooh, okay, let me just wiggle my fingers here, right? Take a big deep breath. Let's start again. Little things like that can go such a long way. Did you know? Feel your ears right now and go like this. How stiff is your ear? Move it like forward, the top part, right? It could be so stiff. Okay, now I want you to grab your ear and rub it so you feel like the cartilage moving around. It hurts if it's really tense. And now move it again. How much softer is it?
Yeah.
We hold tension in our ears.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who knew? I had a massage therapist teach me that. Oh my God. So even if you just take a break every so often and massage your ears, it'll take you down a few notches.
Yeah.
It's funny. Remember when Jaden was younger? Before
When he gets sleepy.
When he gets sleepy, he'll come to us, but he'll start rubbing our ears before going to sleep. So,
Really?
yeah.
There you go.
The same way. So I'm like, wow, he's actually helping to release tension out of you by doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, some things are intuitive, instinctive. Don't resist that. Just go with it, even if it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, sometimes that's the truest one. I'm on my way home. I always go, left. Well, the hit comes. Turn right. Let's start arguing with the universe. How many times have you done that? Well, I don't go right. My house is over to the left, and why should I make a right? Okay, so you go your way, and there's an accident, there's a block, there's a detour. Right. Because why would the universe know more than you?
Yeah. Yeah. That's how a lot of people navigate. And I'm guilty of that sometimes as well. So I got this. I know more for my life than you, universe.
That's
I got
right.
this thing. And the universe is like, well, hey. Did you get the lesson?
It's a moment of magic. Those are the magical moments, and they happen all day long.
Yeah. 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 It does. With those subtle whispers, and sometimes just challenge it. Was like, oh, we'll do that video, do that content. No, I don't want to do that content. I don't want to talk about this. Well, what is this gonna do? Like,
right. Absolutely. So it's all up to us, folks. We can live whatever kind of life we want to. It can be magical, or it can be really, really hard. And I don't think the universe meant for us to have a super hard life. I just don't believe that. It's all about the lessons. End of story. It's not about, I'm going to put a black cloud over your head and make it follow you around so everything happens that's bad to you. Really? Is that the God you believe in, or whatever you call it? Energy? I really believe that the universe advocates for us.
yeah.
And then it's up to us to accept that guidance. Ask for guidance. If you ask for it, not only will you get it more often, but you're probably going to be more open to following it.
Right. So conscious creation.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. It's a form of consciousness that we're all impacting, we're all imprinting on it. In my book, The True Nature of Energy, I talk about this in depth, and how if everything you do, if you look at it as an energetic interaction, oh, you just had a fight with somebody. Well, those energies are conflicting, they're pounding against each other, right?
Mhm.
But if you give that person less to fight about, okay, you're right. Now where's it going? It's punching what? Nothing. It calms the energy.
Right.
Or you can keep resisting. No, I'm right. No, I'm.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Right, right. And to your point, we have a comment from Al. Al says, I just told, I don't know if it's China or China, but we'll figure that out, this morning about listening to Sadhguru. And she ended up listening to something else. And then she gets mad at me for saying, okay, well, babe, you're right. You listen to what you want to. I can't make you listen if you don't want to. And then she thinks that he is upset with her, but he was just being true.
Isn't that funny how like a situation happens and then we both take the information, however we take the information, and from that one thing, one person feels this way, one person believes this other thing is going on, and never like having that conversation to really discover the truth and take it for whatever the person says as well.
Yeah. And I completely understand that situation. And that happens so often for everyone. Here's the key, too, is that everybody's on their own path. They need to do what they feel they need to do. Right? We started this conversation about what was making me struggle, right? It was other people trying to insert themselves in my path.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I took responsibility for my path and said, okay, if you feel that way, then you follow that path. But I feel that I need to go in this direction. Now, you have to have confidence for this. You have to build up your confidence, because if you have like a low self-esteem, you really need to start understanding back to self-awareness and cultivating your confidence in order to say what you believe in. But a lot of people try to insert themselves in your path.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates bad karma.
Mm.
So if you're a believer in karma, and yes, we can bring things to other people's attention. Absolutely. Because I ask my friends and I ask my husband, I'm like, am I not seeing something? Because I think objective self-observation is one of the hardest things we can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but ask people you trust with no ulterior motives, right? Am I being an idiot? And they know that I want them to tell me the truth. Like, don't pretend that don't tell me something you think I want to hear, because what I want to hear is the truth. You have to have a brave person who you trust to give you the truth. And don't get mad at them when they tell you.
Exactly. That's the thing. People ask for the truth, but then when they get the truth, then they get upset that they got the truth as well.
That's what we call an ask hole.
I never heard that before. Asshole.
Oh my God. And Al or China made a good point just now. The relatives that don't see what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, oh my God, they sit there and they will try to fix it, tell you what to do to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't helpful. It's not helpful.
Yeah.
And so what you really need from people, and if you want to be supportive to somebody that you know is going through a rough time, Listen utmost, and then ask questions to clarify and help them understand more about, okay, what might be the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you have somebody who constantly complains, the best thing to say is, so what are you going to do about that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, on my coaching right there. It's like I follow Michael back with what he says, and it's so true. It's like when the only people who complain is like I give you that one opportunity to let it all out, whatever situation is going on. Yeah, let it out because we all need the opportunity to vent, bring our awareness to it. But then when you come again with that same thing, that's the next I'm going to ask you. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Because people want to, a lot of us, and in my own journey, we like to have that victim card and to receive sympathy for us being a victim and continue to be a victim. Continue to be a victim. Obviously, you're a victim for a moment. Totally fine. Let it out. Go through it. Yes, you might have been victimized, but then after that, it's like it's a choice. Do I want to continue to be a victim, or do I want to create something new by like really coming to a different solution? And you also made another valid point too that I wanted to point out, and it's in terms of not giving someone an advice based upon your perspective, but actually being present, listening, and asking questions to help them discover their own solution that they already know. Because a lot of times when people are talking about it too, they talk about the situation, but then they also offer their solution to it simultaneously as well. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And if you keep offering solutions, then it goes into what I call the yeah, but syndrome,
Uh-huh.
where no matter what you say, yeah, but
Yep.
that's not going to work. Yeah, but.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's not for us to solve for them. And if
Exactly.
they don't like the idea that you're putting it back on them and it's their responsibility, they'll find somebody else to bend
Oh
their
yeah.
ear.
Yeah.
Don't let them drain you.
Mm-hmm. And if they don't get it in that moment, you plant that seed that eventually the aha, like, oh, wait. They might get mad at you, they may stop talking to you forever or maybe for a little bit, but that aha moment may happen or may not happen, but you planted that seed and
Right.
it's gonna sprout.
I mean, have you ever experienced you give all kinds of time to people? You give all kinds of time to people, and then you find that nothing's different after all this effort. And that's when you go, okay, you know what? I'm done here. But don't let it get to the point where you're exhausted. Right?
Yeah.
That's key.
Yeah.
Because you can completely drain yourself trying to help somebody else. Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So this coaching style, and also I'd like to acknowledge it as like a self-dialogue process, because we can all very well coach ourselves. It can just bring you into another dimension of understanding, compassion, and boundaries, like you're saying.
Right. I mean, cutting somebody off from your energy is not compassionate. It is for yourself, right? Give yourself the compassion that you would want to give somebody else.
Yeah. Exactly.
Don't leave yourself out of this equation, people.
Yeah. Because that's like the one common denominator in every situation, you. So why not take care of you?
Right. And you can't open people who don't want to be opened.
Right.
You can't do it.
And synchronistically, you put that right for what Al just wrote. I'm trying with my wife to open her mind, but it's hard because she's Scorpio, and you just said it. Perfect. I just want to point it out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Kindness and love, not only to the other person, but to yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult. It's a hard road when you when you are dealing with somebody who there's nothing you can say that can change their mind. Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in this supercharged society we're in, that happens more often than maybe it used to.
Oh yeah. Especially
So
now.
just don't make yourself crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see what's happening now with like one side equation, the other side, and I'm talking about the pandemic, vaccine, all this other stuff. One side trying to change the other side opinion or mind, and vice versa, and a lot of things out there in the world. And it's like, like it's a lot of energy that's being used for that could be used for something that could benefit your own evolution, but then a collective evolution as well. And also it's like something's not working, why keep trying to force it?
That's right. And don't start praying that the person sees your point of view.
Right.
Because that is black magic.
Mm.
You are asking for something for somebody that they don't want for themselves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Against their own free will. Wow.
Yes. Don't pray unless somebody gives you permission to do it. Don't send them energy unless somebody gives you permission to do it. Ask them directly.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. Never really thought about that.
Oh, I'll pray for you. No. I'm okay. I don't need you to pray for me, right?
Thank you. I for like me personally, I felt like my boundaries being crossed like that. So like, let's say like somebody just out of nowhere like tries to do some healing work or some prayer on me, and I haven't asked for it. I'm like, I'm good right now. I'm chilling. And so it's like, like, what are you doing? Like, I don't need it. I'm good. I'm like, I'm connected to the divine. I'm receiving all this information. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate your gesture and things like that. But then, like, for me, I felt a little guilty of this saying, like, I was thinking in my mind, like, am I supposed to receive this right now? Even though I'm really good and I'm receiving directly from source right now in this moment, but is this source trying to give me more? Or like, can I also just say no? I'm okay. Like, I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel more resonant in saying it in that way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Beautiful way to conclude. I mean, like, we've covered the whole spectrum here in this conversation.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah.
We've gone from our interpretations of life, aka boring, and the choices that we can make, all the way through tarot, self-coaching, views on the universe, and how we're creating our reality. This was amazing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, always.
And I'm sure whoever is going to watch this will also enjoy this as well. This was powerful.
Yes, now I'm getting reminders to massage my ears. I love it. And Diane, where can people find you?
At dianewing.com and dianewingauthor.com. So my radio show, tons of blog articles about all kinds of helpful things. That's dianewing.com. You can also take my vibrational quiz and find out where you're vibrating currently, and then get an interpretation of your vibrational frequency. And if you're interested in my books, you can go to dianewingauthor.com.
Yes.
And there are descriptions and links to whatever format you like to read in. And I love to hear from folks. So if you want to shoot me an email, you can do that at
or
Diane.
Sign up for that newsletter. Yep.
Right. Sign up for my newsletter. That's right.
And what was the email again?
Diane at dianewing.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you kindly for sharing your time and your wisdom and your presence today.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And
stay magical.